I'm author Ayoka B, and I'm going to get into my mid-year celebration of reading. This has been a great year of reading. I say that every year. But anyway, first one I want to start off with. Oh, well, first let me say this. I read whatever I want to read whenever I want to read it. Meaning, I'm usually not reading the trending books. I read, what speaks to me. So, in saying that, and y'all not gonna believe this, I had never read Parable of the Sower. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that happened. Somehow I hadn't read the parables, but I've read all her other stuff. Anyway, I don't need to tell you. Parable of the Sower, I know that that's going to be in the top at year end as well. A dystopian future. We have a young female FMC, no, a young FMC, and we're looking at America when it's gone down the tubes and it's everybody for themselves and it's murderous and frightening and all of the things. And she is, how can I say, she is envisioning a future and she is coming up with the tenets and principles that will guide that future. Um, it is such an original read and great story, and I mean, it's Octavia Butler. Hello. So that's the first one. The next one is Mortal Affairs by Granger. Now, this was my favorite one. I have to be honest, of the whole series. Something about it felt, I don't know, I guess less chaotic, which it's not that I didn't like the chaos, but I felt that this story was more focused. But I loved it. And that's not to say, please understand that I love the Drew Collins series. But this was my favorite of them, and I read all of them this year. I did the audio version of all of them. That's all I'm going to say about that. And American Marriage. Remember I said I read stuff when I feel like reading it. Okay, so this was, I read An American Marriage this year, and I read Kin this year. And that's also in my top that I'm going to talk about in this video. An American Marriage. Okay. When did we get away from writing letters? We need to bring that back, y'all. That's a side note, but we really do. This, first of all, Tayari's writing is, I'm a writer and I can't come up with the word. It's impeccable. But so is her storytelling. An American Marriage. I don't like spoilers. So it's not what you think. The title is kind of vanilla, but trust me when I say you want to dive into this because it's not what you expect. The Street, okay, and Petry, written in the 40s. Y'all, first of all, I'm mad that I had never heard of this book, I think, until this year, maybe the end of last year. Written in the 40s, in the post Harlem Renaissance era, I guess that would be. It's not the Harlem that we think about in terms of the Harlem Renaissance. It is the real gritty ghetto, any street, any ghetto, like Lauren says. But it ain't a pretty story like that song. The Street reminds you, if you were to ever forget, the day-to-day that Black people have endured because of racial discrimination, which of course led to economic and educational discrimination, and how that American dream never reached us. So this book is as important in 2026 as it was in 1946, I think she wrote it. If you haven't read it, you need to. And her writing is phenomenal. My next one is Happy Land. I love me some Dolen Perkins. Wait, I'm leaving off her last name, Valdez. I mean, wench, take my hand. I'm leaving something out. Happy Land. Happy Land is historical fiction, which is my favorite. It is about land ownership, which is an issue that we need to be talking about because it's important, and so much land was stolen, swindled from us over the centuries. But Happy Land is about a real settlement that was in, I want to say, Appalachia, so in North Carolina. I'm not remembering. I think that's where it was. The point is that these were a group of black people who started their own community, their own settlement, and were self-contained. They made their own money. They built their own houses. They educated their children. I can't remember whether they had a bank. Yes, they did. They had cooperative economics there, but it's dual point of view, and it's told from an elder's point of view and a young person's point of view, and then they meet in the middle. It is a great story, and it is written with such care. If you haven't read Happy Land, you need to do so. Okay, now I'm going to switch gears and talk about one of the great indie authors that I found this year, L.M. Bennett. We also interviewed her on Writing While Black. The Art of Going Rogue, which is part of her Hot Mic series. The next one that came out that I have not read yet, I shouldn't be adjusting myself, but I am, is Track 4 is Not About You. She has another one coming out, but it's not part of the Hot Mic series. You probably already guessed the Hot Mic series is music based. So I love this because it got into music and the universality of music and the way music can make us feel. And it got into the process and songwriting and producing and all of that. But this is a romance, y'all, and it's a slow burn, and it's sexy. And Ellen Bennett is such a great writer. The storytelling, the spice you get. This is a sapphic romance. I'm telling you, you want to do it. And this is a reminder to me to get Track 4 is Not About You, which is a different couple, but the same series. Next, and I'm not doing these in any order, just as I can remember, Ring Shout. Y'all, I think technically this is a novella. It's a little shorter. It might be about 200 pages. It is such a unique story. It's all about race. It's historical fiction, but it's also a thriller. I think that's how they talk about it, a thriller. It has to do with the KKK. Again, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but if you know what a ring shout is, when we get happy, basically, and we, are in community and in a circle, and dancing and shouting and singing, that has a power. And so hence the title is Ring Shout, but that is important in the story. I really, really love this. This was one of my favorites. I think this is going to make it to the top 5 of the year. Then we get to Ken, Tayari Jones. I think I might have said her name wrong earlier. My bad. For those of us who have a mommy wound, this is going to stab at it and twist it and all of the things. Okay, you have 2 childhood friends that both have a mommy wound. Details are different, but that is part of how they bonded early on, and it follows their lives. And this is an emotional one. It's a tearjerker. It takes place, I want to say, in the 50s. But their journeys diverge and then come back together. But I'm telling y'all, have the Kleenex ready. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, so the next one is another indie author, Monichia. Her debut, Triggered. This shit is crazy. It's crazy. And I'm glad I knew that going in. And let me just say, you need to read the trigger warnings for Triggered. I mean, it has a gun on the front cover, so you know a little bit of what you're going to get. But that prologue is insane. Once I read the prologue, I had to put the book down for a minute and be like, am I ready for this? Because this shit is crazy. It deals with mental health. Mental health is the overarching theme in this book, and it's told from different points of view. Danielle is trying. She's trying to get her life together. Danielle and Sigrid. I know Monichia said Sigrid, I think, is her favorite. I didn't like Sigrid. Fuck her. I didn't like Sigrid. But Danielle, this is rough. It's just a rough story all the way around. But, I mean, it is a page turner. There's a twist in there. It's more than one twist. But that first twist, I was like, ooh. I had to send Monichia a picture. But hats off to Monichia for doing the big one for her first time out the gate. I know she's working on something else for us, so stay tuned. Last but not least, I switch gears real fast, y'all, sometime. The Grand Paloma Resort. Okay. This one is set in Dominican Republic. It's dealing with black and brown people. White ones too, because this one has a serious racial thread through it. So if you don't want that or you're not ready for it, this is not the book for you. It is centered around a resort, an exclusive resort, and the employees that work there. The main character is a Dominican employee at this resort on her island, and it just shows you what they go through dealing with the clientele, and they're very wealthy white clientele, and how they interact with the indigenous people on the island. And it has a subplot about the relationship between Dominicans and Haitians, which is a very important conversation, one which has been going on for hundreds of years. I did not know about the Parsley Massacre. Look it up. 1937. Horrific. But it put some things into perspective for me regarding the ongoing issue and conflict between Dominicans and Haitians. This book just kept twisting and twisting and twisting. It wasn't one plot twist, it was many. And it was very interesting for me to read it right now when I am thinking about how I travel and where I will stay. I will never stay in another exclusive resort again. I did not know what was going on in terms of all of these islands and the indigenous people there and having beach access. I had no idea. Jamaica is in court right now, Jamaican residents, as are residents in other islands, fighting to have the right to beaches in their own goddamn country, because all of these foreigners are buying the land and therefore the rights to have private beaches. So this was very timely for me to read right now to underscore what that fight looks like for people. So do a little research if you are a traveler, especially if you are black or brown, any color, but especially if you're black or brown. Please travel responsibly. Please engage with the local economy and the indigenous people where you travel and inject your money so that it stays in that community. Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox now, but that is my mid-year celebration. I've only read 30 books so far. I say only, I'm not getting into or feeling ashamed or whatever that I'm reading too slow or whatever. I just finished writing my second novel, so how about that? So I'm not tripping about I only read 30 books. And I gotta been promoting this second book. The Composition of Evan Jeffries, in case you don't know, is coming this summer. It is a companion novel to my debut, Love at Second Sight. But there you go. You can go to my Goodreads to get full-on reviews for all of these books. But if you haven't read any of them or only a few, add them to your TBR. You will not be disappointed. That's it. I'm out.